Hey everybody, this is Orumus, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about accuracy and trying to explain it in a fairly simple way. I have here a KV-1. It's the Soviet Tier 5 heavy tank. I've chosen it because for newer players, it's a tank that you're going to be seeing pretty quickly, and maybe you're going up this line. It's a very common tank to see. It's a great tank, so that's why I've chosen it. Uh, First thing when we're talking about accuracy that you need to look at is the gun that the tank uses. Now, most people use the 85 millimeter. It's quote unquote the best gun that you can get. And solely talking about its accuracy, you want to look at the dispersion stat. So 0.42 dispersion at 100 meters. Well, what exactly does that mean? That means that at 100 meters from whatever you're aiming at, your reticle, the size of the circle around where you're actually aiming, is 0.42 of a meter. That's a pretty big area. So that means that if you account for RNG, random number generator, which is wargaming's way of simulating real life conditions that make it so you don't always hit where you're aiming. That means that at 100 meters, your shots potentially could land 0.42 of a meter within like that area where your reticle is looking. Your shots could land anywhere in there. Now, crew training will decrease the chance of your shots going all over the place. And if they do not land, where you're actually aiming, then crew training, the higher your crew, the better your crew is, decreases the amount or the chance that your shots will go further from where you're aiming. So in the training battles that I'm going to do, you're going to see me aiming for viewports and mounted gun ports on the front of a KV-1 hull. The better your crew is trained, the less likely that you're going to, first of all, miss your target. And then if you do miss and it kind of goes somewhere else inside of your reticle, it's going to decrease the chance that those shots are going to go really far to the outside of the reticle. Instead, maybe they'll land very close to where you were aiming and still, penetrate that weak spot. Now, 0.42 is quite bad accuracy in this game. I used the 57 millimeter. Big reason is the accuracy. 0.34. That is quite good. You got to remember that this is at 100 meters that we're talking about the accuracy. So the further away you are, and a lot of times you're going to be a lot further away than 100 meters, the more the accuracy really starts to take a toll on your tank if you're talking about a 0.42. So 0.34 is a huge improvement in accuracy. Again, so that is the accuracy on the actual weapons themselves, and this is the first thing you always want to look at when you're trying to figure out, how accurate is this gun, that gun, whatever. The other thing that plays a part into accuracy, or how often your shots are going to hit where you're aiming, slash, be fairly close to where you're aiming, is crew training, specifically the gunner. Now, this is the 50% crew that I'm going to run, because later in the training battle I'm going to do two training battles. I'm going to do one with this crappy 50% crew and one with my good crew, which is this one here. This is what I normally run in my KV-1. So the gunner, as you can see in this breakdown here, it says 100 plus 16 for 116 percentile training. Just a quick word on that. The reason it says 116 is because the commander lends 10% of his training to the rest of the crew. Not himself, but the rest of the crew. And he is at 105% training because I have a module called Improve Ventilation, or Vents for short, which adds 5% crew training to everybody. It's 5% crew to crew skills. So everybody gets this for every single skill. Now, that makes him at 105, which 10% of that is 10.5. The game rounds that up to 11%. And then, of course, as I just pointed out, I have vents, so +5. So that's why he's at 116, 116, 116. So anyway, what does that mean? Well, that means that he is going to be vastly better at hitting what I'm aiming at than that 50% trained guy that I'm going to show you in the training battle. He also has a perk called Snapshot, as you can see, and that perk is a secondary skill that I've taught him. And what that does is, as you move your turret around, you've probably noticed by now that the bloom, the size of the circle around where you're aiming, gets larger. And then once you stop rotating your turret, it starts getting smaller again. Well, this snapshot decreases the maximum size that that bloom can become. So it makes you more accurate while you're rotating your turret. And it also helps in decreases the time that it takes for your reticle to close to your maximum accuracy. So it's a good little perk. It's not a huge amount. I think 5-10% maximum, maybe 7%. But it's enough. It makes a difference. Speaking of accuracy, I already talked about vents. The other module I have on here that improves accuracy is called gun lane drive. It doesn't improve accuracy, but what it does is, again, when you stop rotating your turret and you're aiming in on a target, this decreases your total aim time by 10%. Now, there is another module that's very similar to this, but it's better. It's just some tanks you can't get it on, like the KV one. And that module, I believe it, yes, is called vertical stabilizers. If you can get vertical stabilizers on a tank, you really want to get it. Why? Because it decreases. It's like Snapshot that I was just talking about. It decreases the size that your bloom can become when you're moving your turret around by 20%. That's a big difference. So not only does it make you more accurate while you're swinging your turret around, and maybe you're trying to snapshot somebody who's peeking around a corner, whatever the case may be, but it also helps in your aim time because, well, your reticle is 20% smaller than it would have been had you not had this. So, of course, your reticle gets to its maximum accuracy, fully closes in on itself a lot quicker because it was 20% smaller than it would have been. So that's a great module to have. But anyway, so as far as accuracy goes, those are the major things that contribute to it. Now, like I said, there's RNG in this game, random number generator. That is going to make you miss sometimes, but the training of your crew and how you play can minimize how much RNG impacts your game. So now I'm going to put my 50% crew back in here. And where are you? There, 50%. Yes. Great crew. And I'm going to run this tank in a training battle with a 50% crew. And then I'm going to run a training battle with my good crew. And you're going to see just what a difference the crew makes. Alright, so this is my 100% crew, my good crew. And this is 100 meters. So this is what 0.34 of a dispersion looks like with 100% crew. Now, I have a mod called Paintball Mod that is showing me exactly where I hit. I find it useful when I get hit or I hit another enemy tank to see exactly where my shots are landing. So as you can see, pretty accurate. I'm hitting exactly where I'm aiming. Right now I'm trying to move to get him more angled, just to do a little more sniper work at 100 meters. So again, aiming for the viewport, and now these are just regular rounds. These are 110 pen, I believe. 112 pen. So, it's at 100 meters, you're not going to have too much trouble penning the front of a KV-1 with 112 penetration. But as you can see, my shots were pretty much going almost exactly where I was aiming. Now I'm backing up a little bit to show you the difference in the dispersion of 100 meters. Don't want to have a bush in between us, because the way that camouflage works in this game, if we have a bush in between us, we'll disappear.
I see dead people. Oh.
Alright, so now we're at 200 meters. And as you can see, my reticle is significantly larger on the front of his tank.
Damn it. Fuck this
And my
clown.
shots are not landing
Shit.
exactly where I'm aiming.
Coochie coochie.
They're still doing alright though. Again, that's that crew training coming into play.
Damn it.
And that just hit the bottom of his gun manlet.
Fuck you.
That hit to the right of where I'm aiming.
Fuck this
Below.
clown. Shit and die.
And almost right where I was aiming. So that's accuracy right there. Yep. Okay, so here I'm using a 50% crew in the same tank, and I want to demonstrate just how big of a difference the crew makes. Now remember that the gun I'm using is very accurate. So this is 100 meters, very, very close. And generally speaking, I'm still hitting my target, but you probably noticed that a half a second has been added to my reload time, and the time that it takes for the reticle to go back down to that fully aimed in position is a lot longer. And the only difference is the crew. The crew is 50% trained crew instead of my 100% trained crew. So now I'm going to back up to 200 meters and show again how large the reticle gets, and you know, how the accuracy is affected by that. Alright, so here we're at 200 meters. That shot went in. 200 meters, remember, is still quite close in this game. That shot went quite a ways off. And that shot didn't hit where I was aiming, but it hit a weak enough spot that I was able to penetrate. Here is a side-by-side still picture of the KV-1 at 100 meters and 200 meters aiming for the same spot. And as you can clearly see, the reticle at 100 meters on the front of the tank doesn't cover that much of the tank. So if you miss even the worst miss in that reticle, you're still going to hit around where you're aiming. It's fairly close. Whereas at 200 meters, you can see it's considerably bigger. In fact, looks like more than 2 times the size. So that means that if you miss, you have a lot more chance of hitting all over the tank instead of a direct hit. And remember, this is a very accurate gun, so the less accurate the gun, the larger that reticle is going to be, close up and further away. Well guys, I hope this video helps you, and that the basic understanding of accuracy and other basic game mechanics will help to improve your gameplay and your experience. Stay tuned for future tutorial videos. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below. And this is Orumus signing off.